In this lesson, I'm going to show you how you can take advantage of creating animations right in Photoshop. To do this, I'm going to use the animation panel. And when I pull this up, you see that I'm in the timeline mode, which is familiar to you if you use timeline-based applications such as After Effects. In this case, I want to create simple frame-based animations because I am creating an animated GIF. So I click down on this icon in the lower right to change this to a framed animation, and you see I get a single frame that says it's going to flip on every 10 seconds. I don't want to do that, so I click on this little arrow and I'll choose 0.2 seconds. So essentially, when you're using a frame-based animation, it's the same thing as if you have ever received a little flip book where you flip the pages and the little stick figure runs, and on every single page or frame that image has changed ever so slightly. It's kind of the same idea in Photoshop, and it's very easy to do. So I want to take this drum, and I'm going to open up my layers panel so I can see that, and I'm going to move this drum into place while the page is loading. So I'm clicking on the Add New Frame, or essentially duplicate my existing frame, and I'm choosing that in the second frame, I want my drum up here. Now I'm holding the Shift key down as I do that so that it goes in a straight line. In fact, I notice, you can kind of see already, I'm going to have to reposition where this frame is, but let me show you what's happening right now so you get the concept. I press play, and let me change this to forever. You see I clicked on the once and changed it to forever. I've got it blinking like this, and that's not a nice thing to do to people. So I'm going to switch this frame with the other one. So I'm repositioning it so that when somebody comes to the page, the drum is not there. But then the drum appears. As I have it right now, the drum just appears. And again, not a very nice thing to do. So what I'll do is come back to my first frame. I'll set my transparency on my first frame, or opacity I should say, down to a 0%. On the second frame, I'll click on it and I'll change the opacity up to 100%. Okay, so we still have this kind of blinking thing going on. But now I can click on the little tween button at the bottom and I can say, hey, can you tween with the previous frame and put 5 frames in between, and can you change the position, opacity, effects, whatever I've done that's different from that first frame to the second frame. And when I click OK, 5 frames are added, and now what I have is a more gradual transition. Now, this could drive somebody crazy, and animations in a lot of cases do drive people crazy if they're just ongoing. So you can be kind to people by coming over to the button in the lower left that right now mine states forever, and I can change it to once or 3 times. And typically, once, just so you know, it usually animates before even the whole page loads. You need to have it on at least 2 or 3 times for somebody to see the animation before it stops. But now you'll see that, of course, I can animate this image. It'll go 3 times and then it will stop. I can also enter any amount that I want. Now, continuing on with this, if I were to save this image, I would go into Save for Web and Devices, except I would have to definitely indicate that at least this one slice would have to be a GIF. And once you start doing that, you can't have a GIF start here and a JPEG start here and another JPEG here. That would look kind of funny along the seam. So you probably need to save them all as a GIF. And you can choose, I'll choose in this case 32, no dither. You know, it looks okay. Maybe I'll try to go up to 128. I mean, the file size is getting considerably bigger, but again, it depends on what you're trying to do. Now, if I click on Preview here, you'll see there's my animation. It's going to occur 3 times and then stop. Now, other things you can do with animations. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I'm going to cancel this. I'm going into Adobe Bridge, and I'm going to open up another image here. And I always joke that this is what I look like when my husband comes home from work. I've pretty much bathed all the children and dinner's on the table. Not really. So anyway, let's do a real simple animation with this. I go to my animation panel, and I'm going to go ahead and first of all change this into a layer by holding down my Option or Alt key and double clicking. I'm changing my animation timeline to a frame, and you see that again I have this single image. I'm going to change this to 0.2 seconds so that it goes a little faster. And I'm going to do a really simple animation. I'm going to zoom into her face and just take her lower jaw. And I'm going to use that lovely keyboard command, Command or Control J, to just lift her jaw up to its own independent layer. Now, I'm going to duplicate my frame. And in the first frame, her face is there. And her second frame, we'll take that jaw and move it down a little bit. And then, of course, I need to paint in a little bit here. So I'm going to go ahead and right on this layer, I'm going to sample some of this color. And you got to be careful with this so you don't make it look like somebody's eating a load of chocolate. Let me undo that, Command Z, and just do a little better job. It doesn't have to be perfect for this example, but I'm just showing you a case where you might want to create an animation, but you don't want to turn the entire image into a GIF. I'm going to repeat this forever. Now, what I've got here is her just talking away. Okay, now I can see that when I bring that down, do you see her shadows kind of moving? I can go into this layer and just clean up the shadow area if I want, or I can use a layer mask if I'm trying to be really particular. The other thing I could do is turn off the visibility of layer 1 when I'm in frame 1. This would hide the paint and make that animation look a little more realistic. But I'm zooming back out by pressing Command or Control 0, and you can see this is what I've got. Me just yakking away. Fine. Okay, stop. Now, I choose to save this for web and devices. I need to save this as what? A GIF. The image right now is pretty big because the image size is pretty big. In fact, typically, if you're designing a web page that's about 800 pixels wide, you're probably not going to want an image that's almost 600 taking it up. If I want this to take up about a quarter of my page, I might type in here 200 pixels and then just hit the tab key to kick in that size change. Now my size is down to a 6.855, but that's as a JPEG, and my animation won't work as a JPEG. I need to change this to a GIF, and then it zips all the way up to 21K. So what can you do? I'm backing out of here. I'm pressing cancel, coming in, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, and I'm going to take my slice tool, because not only can you slice from guides or divide your slices up evenly, you can also come in and create a custom slice. So I might just choose that I only want to slice this area. Why am I doing that? Well, let's say you're creating some sort of banner ad. Whoops, I double clicked on that. Some kind of banner ad where you want to animate part of it but not the entire thing. You can do that by slicing it up. And then now if I choose Save for Web and Devices, I can select this one slice and choose that it's a GIF. And then I can choose the other slices and say, but those are JPEGs. And now I can keep the file size down considerably. In fact, if I make this a GIF, I should probably make sure it's got enough color in it that you don't see a huge transition from one image to another. And in fact, I'm selecting all of these other JPEGs, changing it to about a medium quality. This looks pretty good. I don't have a need for transparency, so I'll uncheck that. And now when I preview this, you'll see that I've got this gibbering away, but this is all JPEG, and this little slice here is a GIF. So fun things you can do with animations, including slicing them up so that you get the most optimized image possible.